also another Star Trek episode where they get irradiated for a whole long time, but as long as they don't get irradiated for the whole 35 minutes, then they'll be okay. But if they got radiated for 34 minutes, they'd probably live for 3 more hours. I don't know.
Jordy, you've got to stabilize that tractor beam.
I can't divert any more power to the shield. We're already hitting our maximum thermal limits. Only other choice is to bring some other fusion reactors online, but we're running at peak coolant pressure.
Do it.
Warning. Radiation levels at 150 millirads per minute and rising. Lethal exposure in 35 minutes.
Uh-oh. Well, as long as we're only here for 34 minutes. Anyway, it's just more fantasy of radiation that if you don't get it all, you'll be fine. But if you get any, you're not fine.
Tractor beam is holding.
Warning. Lethal radiation exposure in 30 seconds.
We are within visual range of the asteroid belt. On screen.
Warning. Lethal radiation exposure in 15 seconds.
Prepare to cut the barge loose.
Warning. Lethal radiation exposure in 10 seconds.
We have cleared the asteroid, sir. Let it go.
So I showed that Star Trek part to show that that is the way society tells us to think about radiation. If you don't get it all, then you'll be okay. If you move away the last 10 seconds, then you'll be okay. But that's not true at all, because if you would probably live 3 more seconds if you had 10 seconds left and you moved away. It's just all ridiculous that any radiation is bad for you. It's not like a walk in the sunshine. It's not like flying in an airplane. It's not like sleeping next to somebody. They got all these stupid things that they say is bad for you, or worse than nuclear radiation. But in March 2011, this earthquake hit off Japan. There was about a 9, and then this flooded the plant. And they're built close to the water to cool the nuclear reactors with all this seawater, like 1 million gallons a minute. And that's why they have it close to this, right next to the water, because it's cheaper to pump the water from 100 meters away than 700 meters away. And they're just horrible designers, nuclear terrorists. And then this shows the 4 that blew up or melted. March 15th, 14th, 15th, 12th. This is all 2011. And their simplistic pictures just show it's horrible what happened. And they also built them down into the ground, so they're even closer to the water, or the water running underneath them when they melt, so all the radioactive corium can go to and run into the ocean for the rest of our lives. And this is just one of the explosions. Wasn't hydrogen, no way in heck, just not hydrogen. So the reactors blew up. And then this is a report from the United States Nuclear Regulatory Commission on March 18th, so just a couple days after these explosions. And I think this information got out by mistake and they didn't want it to get out. So if you go through this report, it shows all, because there's actually 6 reactors. There's 2 more a little bit north, and they probably melted too, but never heard anything about them, because they were pumping water into 5 and then into another one, some weird system they had for a while. So these probably melted too. And then you look at this page here, 100% of the total spent fuel was released to the atmosphere from Unit 4. That's the one that had all the MOX fuel and all this stuff. So everyone's getting irradiated. I don't see how anyone can argue that it's not, but people do. I just wanted to look at how people say nuclear is carbon free. Well, there's lots and lots of carbon that it takes to build these plants, and this is just getting some of the uranium out of the mine before it transports some plant where they use lots of electricity and whatever power they use to separate it and make it ready to go in the plants. So does that look carbon neutral? This is just one of the smaller mines in the world that mines this stuff for the terrorist industry. So does that look carbon neutral to you? All the people going to work, driving all those trucks there. The fuel's got to come in by ship or train or truck, and it's not carbon neutral. It's ridiculous. Now here's a new power plant being built in China because China's building a lot of them. Does this look carbon neutral? They had to dig out. Looks like they dug down into somewhere. It was probably near the coast, so they dug down near the water. But do all these look carbon neutral? Look at that. All these workers going to and from work, having to drive their vehicles, whatever it takes to get to work, all the energy it takes for this equipment to operate, all the cement that comes in that they pour and have to let it dry and wait, and all the iron rods, are those neutral? They had to mine all that iron, they had to melt all that metal, they had to form all that in plants, hand drills, whatever. So carbon neutral is just a ridiculous argument that the nuclear terrorists use for fun because they're fun people. Just wanted to touch on how nuclear power is supposed to prevent global warming. Well, if you look at this picture, you'll see they're taking in millions of gallons of water a minute from the ocean, and then when it gets too warm, they put it back in the ocean. Then they draw in cooler water. When it gets too warm, they put it in the ocean. So all these hundreds of nuclear plants run by this terrorist organizations are warming up all the water, the ocean, the rivers they're next to. How is that not warming up the environment? Where is their argument? And I've always wanted to point this out. Why do they have stacks at nuclear plants? That's an old idea from the 1860s. The solution to pollution is dilution. So they had those big stacks, and the coal-fired plants shot up all the exhaust into the atmosphere, and then London became coated in black charcoal. And why do they have these at nuclear power plants? Because they're shoving up nuclear crap into the atmosphere. They're just getting rid of it, and they're saying, nope, it's not here on the plant, see? So these stacks have always bothered me. It's just ridiculous that they need them if they're so clean and carbon neutral. So in 2011, when Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, she raised the radiation standards so we could be more radiated. She raised the thresholds, which no one remembers because no one told you, right? No one told me, no one told anybody. They just raised them and said, well, there you go. So now they're going to do it again. So Trump's no different than Hillary, no different than Obama, no different than Clinton. I mean, the man Clinton. They're all just evil cretins who just care about their money and sex, I guess. So this one says October 2nd, Trump administration is quietly moving to weaken the U.S. radiation standards, turning to scientific outliers who argue that a bit of radiation damage is actually good for you, which is totally ridiculous. Like walking in the sunshine, flying in an airplane, sleeping next to somebody, just all this ridiculous crap. And they even say they're going to loosen, they're going to weaken. It doesn't say they're going to raise. No one wants to use that word. It's like the word meltdown when you talk about Fukushima. No one uses that either. While it does not specify that this is addressing radiation and chemicals, whatever that means, an EPA news release on the rules quoted Calabrese as saying it would. The proposal represents a major scientific step forward by recognizing the widespread occurrence of nonlinear doses responding in toxicity and epidemiology for chemicals and radiation, and the need to incorporate such data in risk step and process. Well, it's just all bullshit talk, because all they're doing is they're raising the standards basically so workers don't have to be protected as well, and all the food can be sold to us, and no one will know anything because we're not that bright in general as human beings, which is obvious if you look at the world. So here's Portland. It now has a count of 260 in a minute. So if you're over 100, you don't want to live there. So that pretty much covers the world anymore. No one's safe from all this radiation. Everybody's getting it. So I'm pretty sure the nuclear war has been lost, but no one really knows it yet. So why don't we want these nuclear terrorists running these plants and emitting radiation out into the environment 24/7? Because it's killing the environment, including us. And this is Beautiful Girl by Dana, or otherwise known as a nuclear proctologist. And he goes out on the west coast of Canada and does species surveys and is showing how everything's dead. Even if people see whales once in a while in the ocean, the whole ocean is dying. And also Kevin Blanche in California does it on the California coast. So if you have any extra money, send it to Beautiful Girl by Dana, nuclear proctologist, and he needs money to keep these boats running and go out and do another survey. Unless you're convinced everything's dead anyway, then it doesn't matter, right?
There's the boats this year. And I was out there for 4 months, and I towed the Zodiac behind me, right? Okay. So the map is where we're going to do species counts, and the pictures to your right and the left are the same place. So we see an extinction event for British Columbia's coastline, as shown in these authentic pictures of the coastline, showing all the species are gone. They're all gone. And now in the last 4 months, we have 33 dead whales. This is from Fukushima. And now they're time to get rid of. And so you can see to your left the different diversity in the colors, the incredible diversity. These are all before and after authentic pictures of the same place, folks. I went there 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and got these pictures to the right. I was out again this year for 4 months, and we found the same. All the species are still missing.